second half, and then obviously a lot down the stretch in the final couple minutes.
Yeah, we got to do a better job. Obviously, you're trying to get the ball, inside, and then you just got to make a good decision. I thought when we made good decisions and made simple plays, obviously we shot the ball well from three. 14 for 24 is pretty impressive. So I thought we had a pretty good balance. We just had to, take care of the basketball and, get it to where we needed to get it in the half court on the interior, or just move the basketball, and we were getting pretty good looks. But, when you have those empty possessions and you turn it over, you can't get a rebound on a turnover. And so you got to be able to, give yourself a chance, then give yourself a chance to rebound. We just had too many turnovers in the second half.
Just the offensive rebounding, the points they got off the offensive.
Yes. Outside of like McVeigh and Horn, I thought McVeigh and Horn were the difference in the game. I thought we did a pretty good job guarding Glenn Watson and Ty Webster. If you look at their numbers and how many shots they took and their percentages, if you would have told me that starting the game and that we went 14 for 24 from three, I'd say we were going to, win this game. But I thought Horn and I thought McVeigh were great. Then I thought their overall hustle to rebound. Jacobson got 5 offensive rebounds. Horn gets 3, but as a team they get 15, and that's pretty impressive. Obviously, it's 4 more than we got. But they were quick to the basketball, and those extra possessions. You think about those 4 extra possessions right there in a possession game. That bodes well and gives them another crack at it. But just really impressive. I mean, Horn doesn't play in the last game, so obviously we watch film and know that he can shoot, make a pull up, and shoot on the perimeter, and but he had the best game of his career so far, and I thought McVeigh really did a good job, and we just had total breakdown a couple times with him. We foul him in the corner once, and other times one guy doesn't close out with his hands up, and you got to be there. You got to be there with guys like him and not let him shoot in rhythm, and we didn't do a very good job of that.
Was there anything specifically about Horton's game that surprised you?
Surprised me he played. Most guys that don't play in the game before don't play, and so you don't. So, but he was on the scouting report, and we talked about him, and, he's made shots before in games this year, but not a lot. Anytime you play sparingly, it's really hard to gauge a guy, it's because it's not who they are. It's really hard to be consistent when you have inconsistent minutes. It's a tough thing, especially for a true freshman. But once, guys get opportunities, they're not here, but, they obviously have to be good or they wouldn't have given him a scholarship. So we watch it and clip it and show our guys, and we talked about it. We talked about he doesn't have a high percentage from three, but he's a good 3-point shooter that just hasn't gotten going yet. And he's got a nice pull up, and he hit a couple of those floaters. That 3 late obviously was huge, and we just had a breakdown on that play. But give him credit. That's hard. That's a hard thing to do, to not play very much and then not play in a conference game and then turn around and maybe be the difference maker in this game. So give the kid credit.
How do you think the defense on Swanigan, the first half Nebraska doubled quite a bit, and not so much the second half?
Yeah, they, I thought we did a good job of finding people and moving the ball. They bottled us up a couple times, no question, but it also opened up for a lot of those threes that we got. And there in the second half, they stayed home, and then he just didn't trust his skill level. He's got a good skill level, and he just kept wanting the ball to be deeper. A 5-foot jump hook that he missed, I think around the 3-4 minute mark, I think that bothered him. Instead of just sticking with it and going right back to it, he wanted layups, and he wanted the ball closer, and then he over-dribbled, and then that's, I think we had 2 or 3 possessions there at the end where he over-dribbled, and he got himself in a jam.
In the first half, when they hit 7 of 11 from 3, was that more a case of them just hitting shots, or how did you feel about your defense?
I thought McVeigh's, I'm not going to be able to know every one of them off the top of my head, but I thought McVeigh's were breakdowns. He's known as a shooter. He's a guy that we're not leaving. I thought those were breakdowns. Ty Webster made a couple tough ones. If I'm not mistaken, he was 2 for 2 at half. I thought he made a couple tough ones, and he's a 33% shooter. He's hit or miss. You just got to make him hit tough ones, and the main thing you want to do with him is keep him out of the paint, keep him off the free throw line, and just not let him get in that rhythm. I thought we did that also, but like I said earlier, you can dissect it a lot of different ways, but their ability to get more offensive rebounds and those 2 guys off the bench, were the difference in this game.
Rebounding a few times now in the last couple of weeks. And
Right.
Are you noticing a difference in effort there? Is this just a matter of...
Well, sometimes it's effort, sometimes we're not hitting, and that's the thing with Jacobson. He gets his average tonight. 5 offensive rebounds is his average. I think he's a little bit under that. So he's not a very good defensive rebounder, but he's a good offensive rebounder, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We got to hit him. We had to hit him and Jordy, and be the first to hit him and not let them get ahead of steam. Sometimes they get them when you help too. So you know what I mean? You guys are 5, you go and stop the ball, and those guys shoot the basketball. Sometimes it's tough to get back weak side. That's where somebody's got to be able to come down and try to help you on that box out. And but no, we got to do a better job. We got to do a better job of boxing out.
Matt, when you watched film of Nebraska, did that look like a team that was on a 5-game losing streak?
Well, can they get to 80 points is your question. That was my question. If you go and look at their numbers in the last 5 games, they're around 65, 66 every game except at Michigan, and they got 84 and they still lost. So that is, kind of the question. You're not trying to outscore them, even though that's the name of the game. You're trying to stop them. And so can they, it has to be the right night, I think, for them to get to that number. And they had to have somebody, be pretty special. Normally, you think it's Webster and Watson. And so, like, when you go in the game and say, hey, they got 83 points, you would say, okay, well, Glenn Watson had 28 and Ty Webster had 24, and you got beat, and that's that. And so for us to be able to hold Ty Webster to 5 for 18, he was very fatigued at the end of the game. And Glenn Watson only gets 7 shots up, even though he's really efficient. In a normal situation, you would think you win that game. So those guys were obviously a positive surprise for them off the bench.
Is there something beyond the specific matchups game to game that the defense has been so inconsistent?
It's a good question. Just trying to find, as we saw, we didn't play Isaac as much tonight. He was hurt and had a tough time getting going, had a tough time just kind of playing through contact. And but no, we're just trying to match up to the best of our ability. But also there's going to be times, Brian, where people are going to have to match up to us too. And so it kind of works both ways to where, we got the ball where we wanted at the end of the game. And we're going to keep going back to him. And so when those situations, we got to keep making people match up to us. We're 1 foul away from fouling out both their centers. So that we really put them in a bad bind. We just got to be more efficient. We got to be better than we were tonight in terms of making plays. But we got to get stops, like you're talking about, from defensively. We had too many breakdowns and let some guys get away from us. Maybe going back and watching film, maybe we overdid it, with those 2 guards, and that loosened some things up for those other guys. But we definitely got to get consistent in our defensive schemes. There's no doubt about that.
Isaac got hurt tonight, or this is something that had been?
Yeah, he was. I don't know if he got hurt tonight or not, but he was hurt. Something happened. So we went back to him in the second half, but he was getting a foul. He missed. He ended up getting that basket late, but then he was, he got hit in the back or something. I don't know. So you got to be able to play through it.
I know Basil hasn't been in the rotation much, but
Yeah.
does his absence affect you guys in terms of practice scenarios, things like that?
Yeah, in practice, anytime we can travel, Matt can practice. It's on a weekend or whatever, so we can take him with us and he can practice. So, we're right at around 10, 12 guys that practice. But it's not that big a deal. As you get into late January, early February, you don't get as many reps as you do. It's more of a mental thing, watching film, going through walkthroughs, just being focused on your job.
Thank you.
Thanks.